Good morning and happy Monday, everybody. If everyone will grab a seat, we'll get rolling. Welcome to Lifelong Learning. I'm Donna Faust, the president. Please take a moment to silence your phones so that we don't interrupt the presentation. As you can see, our members enjoy many benefits of club membership. Take a moment to take a look at that and you'll see what I mean. So you'll want to be sure to re-up your membership. These are just some of the benefits of being a lifelong learning club member. The association always wants us to remind you that the views expressed here are those of the presenter and not those of the club or the association. So you'll want to remember that for sure. So let's begin. I'd like to introduce our program chair, Juanita Brown, who will introduce today's speaker. Juanita.
Thank you, Madam President.
You're welcome.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning, Juanita.
Welcome to December.
Having fun yet? Well, it's not going to work anymore.
Oh, dear. I'm sorry. Well, that's not an auspicious beginning. I'm sure this is going to be a wonderful presentation. Lindy Mitchell is a certified health coach, and she's the president of the new Sun City Anthem Health and Wellness Club, and it's taken off like a house on fire. It's just a wonderful new addition to the clubs here. And what she's going to talk about today is the blue zones, and they're regions of the world where people consistently live the longest, healthiest lives. And so she's going to explore what makes places like Sardinia, Okinawa, Nicoya, and Loma Linda, California. Loma Linda, California is one of them. Why they're so unique, and she's going to focus on the common lifestyle habits that contribute to the longevity. So without further ado, Madam President Lindy Mitchell.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for coming. This is awesome. If someone would have told me 8 months ago I'd be standing here talking to you all about anything, I would have said, nope, not me, ain't gonna do it, forget it. However, a lot has happened over the last 6 months. So we've created a wonderful health and wellness club here in our community. So I'm happy to share that with you. If you would like additional information on our club, we are growing fast. We have about 100 and over 180 members right now, and it's growing very quickly. So if you'd like to join, there are membership forms over by the activities office. You can fill out the membership form and place your dues into the mailbox, which is over by the fitness center. We're super excited. I really got started with this journey based on some experience I had taking care of my elders. I have a passion for health and wellness, and I took care of my parents who both had various issues with chronic diseases. It was probably a 20 to 30 year process. And so I was with them along the way. I wouldn't change a thing, but I absolutely learned so much about the system and what I don't want my life to be like. I really believe if we take care of our bodies will take care of us. And so it's really the big part of why I created and wanted to put in place a health and wellness club here in our community. I wasn't sure if I was going to find some like-minded people here, so I started just an interest group back in April. And then in May, the activities office said, hey, if you want to have a table at the club fair, we're inviting you to do that. So I went to the club fair, and that's where I met so many people that were excited, enthusiastic. They wanted health and wellness, all different areas of health and wellness. So I left that club fair very excited, inspired, and I knew that I had to move forward and, start a charter for a health and wellness club. So here we are today. So 180 members and growing. So information about our club, we have a website which I'll put up here at the end of the presentation. You can get information there, or you can email us. We also have some of these flyers over by the activities office, which you can pick up, information about the club if you're interested. Okay, and with that, I would like to get started on the blue zones. How many of you have ever heard of the blue zones? Wow, awesome. Okay, great. So I don't know if you know, but where it started, really back in the 2000s, National Geographic explorer Dan Buettner led a multi-year investigation and into places where people were living the longest. His team found clusters of people that were living very long and healthy lives, and they called those regions the blue zones. You're probably wondering, why did they call them the blue zones? Because I had that very question. The reason they called them the blue zones is because when they were doing their research, they had a map, and on that map, they circled the regions with blue ink. So that's how the blue zones came. I know, right? So through careful fieldwork and demographic studies, in conversations with people that were in their 90s and 100s, Dan Buettner and his team at the National Geographic discovered a set of shared lifestyles, principles that they call the Power 9. So there's 9 principles that we're going to talk about today that are common in all of these regions. So we'll talk about what these communities are, what they have in common, and how the Power 9 can gently guide us toward a more healthy life. And there's no extreme workouts or strict routines required, I promise. You can all do all this stuff. Okay, there's the blue zones. Okay, so our agenda today. I will introduce you to the 5 blue zone regions. And as I share the information about each region, you'll quickly spot some of the shared lifestyle patterns, referred to as the Power 9. And the goal here is to translate these insights into simple actions that you can try starting this week. So here are the 5 blue zone regions, and I'll take you through each one, starting with Sardinia. So Sardinia is a lot of mountain villages, and their daily routines require them to walk up and down steep hills, which builds strength and balance, and their daily routines require this. So it's something they really have to do, but they incorporate this into their day. They also have very strong family ties. They respect the wisdom of their elders, and they take care of their elders. They often live in the same community, sometimes the same household as their elders. And the people in this region are mostly plant-based. Their meals are based on beans, garden vegetables, whole grains, pecorino from their grass-fed sheep. Those are all part of their everyday diet. They eat minimal amount of meat. It's more of a condiment versus something that you have on your plate and you work around that. They eat very small portions of meat, and they don't eat it every day. Large portions of Sardinia were formed from volcanic activity millions of years ago. So because of this, the island is very mineral rich in the soil, has lots of volcanic-derived nutrients in it. And so this is why the fruits and vegetables that are grown there are noted for their high nutrient density. So this really adds to the longevity of the people that live in this region. Okay, so we'll go to our next one, which is Okinawa, Japan. And in Okinawa, a Moai is a small, close-knit social group that supports each member throughout their life. These groups are formed in childhood and can last for decades, sometimes even a lifetime. Researchers believe the deep, consistent social connection found in Moais is one of the key reasons that the Okinawans enjoy such long, healthy lives. In Okinawa, Ikigai refers to a deep sense of purpose. It's the reason you get up in the morning. It's a blend of what you love and what you're good at. It's what the world needs and what gives your life meaning. The Okinawa region also is very plant-based. They eat lots of sweet potatoes, greens, tofu. And the vegetables grown in Okinawa's volcanic soils are very rich in vitamin C and polyphenols. Polyphenols are the natural compounds in the plant foods that act as powerful antioxidants in our bodies. These antioxidants fight cancer, they fight chronic disease. We really want this in our bodies. So the unique soil there really does help produce foods that are especially high in nutrients. And they also follow an 80% rule, which they call Hari, Hachi, Bu. And I'll explain more about that a little bit later. Okay, so our next region is Nicoya Peninsula in Costa Rica. Plan de Vida means life and purpose. And their diet consists of simple, unprocessed food. An example of that is Three Sisters, which is black beans, corn tortillas, and squash. These three foods, when grown together, support one another agriculturally, and they create a nutritionally powerful combination. Beans provide plant-based protein and fiber. Corn offers energy and essential nutrients. And squash contributes vitamins, minerals, and antioxidants. So together, they perform a very balanced, anti-inflammatory, and nutrient-dense staple that supports strong immune health, sustained energy, and longevity. And this simple, traditional way of eating is a key factor in the remarkable health and long life in this region. The Nicoya Peninsula sits on land that is enriched by centuries of volcanic ash, creating some of the most mineral-dense soil in the world. The ash infuses the soil with calcium, magnesium, potassium, and other trace minerals, which are absorbed by the fruits and vegetables grown there. And as a result, the local diet is naturally rich in nutrients that help support strong bones, healthy muscles, better immune function, and reduced inflammation. And the researchers do believe that this mineral-rich soil and the nutrient-packed produce it creates plays a very meaningful role in the exceptional longevity found in this blue zone region. Okay, so our next region is Ikaria, Greece. And in this region, they believe midday rest is very important and low stress. So they focus on stress management. It's part of their daily routine. Their diet consists of Mediterranean staples such as legumes, wild greens, olive oil, herbs. And they also have a daily walking routine up and down the hills, just like Sardinia, getting their groceries, carrying their groceries, just gardening. They're always moving. That's part of their daily routine. And then they take their siesta. Okay, and our next one is Loma Linda, California, not too far away from here. And this community is very faith-based. They are Adventist community. And their normals life, they encourage very healthy living and weekly rest. So they also focus on the stress and trying to manage their stress as well. They're very much a vegetarian, plant-based community. Lots of nuts and beans and whole foods. And the Sabbath is where they downshift. So this is where they reduce their stress, and they pay attention to it and they manage it. There's a very strong sense of volunteerism and service within their community. So those are the 5. And now you probably notice some commonalities within those 5 regions. And I'm going to go through the Power 9. So you'll see 9 things that they have in common. And this was all part of the research that they did with Dan Buettner and the Blue Zones. So first of all, they move. And they move naturally. It's a part of their daily routine, all ages. This is gardening. This is walking, climbing stairs. So we can also build activity into our daily life. It doesn't have to be going to the gym. It can just be maybe taking a 10-minute walk after your meal, which is also great for your digestion. We don't have to go climb up and down hills to get our groceries. We drive to the grocery store typically, but maybe you could park a little bit further away from the grocery store. Add in a few steps. Every little bit adds up. The second of the Power 9 is called Ikigai, which I mentioned when we talked about Okinawa. It's about knowing your why. What is your passion? It's the reason we get up in the morning. It's what you love. It's what you're good at. And it's what the world needs from you. This is all connected to our longevity. And this is a common practice amongst all of the Blue Zone regions. Okay, so our third Power 9 is all the Blue Zone regions practice some type of downshifting. So daily stress relief, rituals, prayer, meditation, just relaxing with a cup of tea, getting out in nature. These are things we can practice in our daily lives. These short resets reduce inflammation in our bodies. So schedule your downtime like you would any other appointment. Put it in your calendar. It's super important. Okay, here's the 80% rule. They call it Hara, Hachi, Bu in Okinawa. They don't overeat. They only eat until they're 80% full. This provides more overall energy. Stop eating at 80% full. You're wondering, well, how do I know when I'm 80% full? Because typically we are stuffing our faces, we eat pretty fast. I mean, we plow through our meals. Slow down. You will know, because I tried this and it works. Eat slowly. When you get 80% full, your stomach will tell you. It gives you a sign. You get a little bit of air come up. It's a little burp. If you pay attention, you'll notice it. That's when you're 80% full. These regions also start their meals with soup, salad, which helps with the satiety of your overall meal. But really, we should be slowing down when we eat. Did you know we should be chewing each bite 32 times? I know, it's a lot, but try it because you'll notice a difference. It really makes an impact on your digestion. Slow down, 32 chews per bite. Start there. Sometimes you need to even chew even more to get it to digest properly. I know we have all these bad habits. Okay, the fifth commonality here is plants. So they primarily have plants in their diet. And again, these are full of all the antioxidants and anti-inflammatory nutrients that we need in our bodies to fight disease. And again, meat is a condiment in these regions. They don't eat meat every day. They don't eat it at every meal. It's a small portion if and when they do eat it. And they choose simple, minimally processed foods. And next year, 2026, the Health and Wellness Club will be spending a lot of time talking about highly processed foods in our diet, because it really is a problem in our country especially. So we're going to spend a lot of time on that. So if you're not a member yet, please sign up, because we've got a lot of great information to bring you on that topic and lots of other topics. Okay, you guys are going to like this one. One of the things that the blue zones do, that is pretty common, is they have a happy hour. They get together at the end of the day. It's more of a social thing. And of course, if you don't drink, don't start. That's not the point. This is just one of the common themes of the blue zones. So it's more of a social ritual. It's not about what's in your glass. It's about the getting together, sharing your day. And they all do this. And I think we do this a lot here in our community, right? We do that. Oh, and just a note that Loma Linda, they don't really do this part. They don't drink. So they're Adventist. Okay, here's something that we do very well here in our community. We belong. We're here. We have clubs. There's all kinds of interests. We can meet people. It's a regular involvement in faith and spiritual community is very common with all of these regions. Weekly engagement is very common in the blue zones. Just like we have our weekly meetings, we have our weekly clubs, there's so many activities here. So, connection is really the buffer between, you and stress. It works for me. I created a club. Okay, so the next one is loved ones first. So all of these regions prioritize their family across generations. It's super important to our health and longevity. They invest the time with their spouses, children, and grandkids. They create traditions and shared routines. They share and pass those routines and traditions down to the younger generations. And we can kind of do that here. We don't necessarily need to live with our children, but we can make a phone call and we can FaceTime with our grandkids, and we can get together as often as possible. So really, try to share your family history, your stories, your routines, and your recipes with our younger generation. That's what they do in the blue zones. Okay, and this one is finding the right tribe. This is why I'm here right now, is because I found my tribe. You are my tribe. Health and Wellness Club is my tribe. I knew my tribe was here, and when I created my interest group back in April, that's what I was looking for. I didn't quite expect 180, 200 people, but I got that, which is wonderful. So really surround yourself with people that are like-minded and supportive, just like they do in the Moai in Okinawa. And, this way you can push your friends or your tribe into healthier habits. You can keep each other accountable. So, join or form a group that models your goals. It's easy. And then try one of these this week. Maybe take a 10-minute walk after your meals, after you've chewed everything 32 times. Add beans to your lunch 3 times a week. Maybe you can try that. That will give you some great fiber and antioxidants. Schedule a 15-minute daily downshift. Take a nap. Have a cup of tea. Just rest, relax. Or you can call or text a friend. Maybe they can be your accountability buddy. And if you want to try a new recipe, that's always great. Minestrone, my favorite recipe on the planet. If you'd like, I've left some copies of my favorite recipe over there to grab as you go out. I literally make this all the time, and I will eat it 3 times a day. I'm not joking. It's delicious, and it's hearty, and the cool weather, it's a wonderful recipe to make. So, small daily choices over time create extraordinary results. Now, we have a few minutes before our Q&A session. So I'd like to use this time to introduce someone very special who's with us today. I met Mr. Jim Diss at a lifelong learning discussion group a couple months ago. And the topic was antioxidants/electrons. For those of you who haven't had the chance to meet him yet, he is truly remarkable. Jim has a lifelong history and deep understanding of nutrients, soil health, antioxidants, electrons, and how the quality of our food directly influences our long-term health and longevity. In the short time I've known him, I've learned so much. He's passionate about helping our community fight cancer, reduce chronic disease, and stay healthy and vibrant well into our 80s, 90s, and even 100s. Mr. Diss is 86 years young, and he told me I could say his age. I am honored to have him here today. He asked if he could have 2 minutes to share a few insights with you on the impact of sugar, which is an important topic that ties beautifully into our discussion on longevity. So with that, it is my pleasure to introduce Mr. Jim Diss. Thank you, Jim. Thank you, Jim. Talk into the microphone this way.
Thank you.
There you go.
Hi, thanks for the invitation. I wanted to add another facet to this conversation. I told her, I was a farmer from the 60s. I was born back in the 30s. And I come from the soil up. I really believe in walking and living with the soil. As my daddy said, that's where we all spring from, and that's where we're going to go. So I spent a lot of time studying it. And in the 80s, after being in the big corporation business, setting up dealers to manufacture fertilizer, I left the company and set my own plant up. And then, as probably most of you remember, the government said, stop getting sulfur in our smoke. It's falling on the ground and acidifying lakes and hurting the environment. So they had to do that, and companies on the East Coast would put it on a barge, take it 21 miles plus out in the ocean, and shove it off in the water. They couldn't do that in Chicago. I was just down the road from Chicago, and you could buy it for $20 a ton. I bought it and mixed it in my fertilizer. I made liquid fertilizer. Farmers started telling me, I don't know what you're doing to that fertilizer disc, but I got 25 more bushel corn where you fertilized. And I didn't know either, but I was thrilled with their comments. Then I retired, moved out here in '99, like all of us, bought a house, built right here in Sun City, and then the pandemic came along and you couldn't go anyplace. I was so damn bored, I sat there with my computer and asked the computer, electrons in plants, because I knew clay soil that I was mixing with fertilizer had electrons in it. I was stunned. Up come hundreds of articles. Well, that's got to be the worst reading you've ever done. That's the most boring stuff. These darn scientists that have to do projects to become a doctor, get a master's degree, they write that up in great detail and explain it, and I began to understand what was going on. It turned out the fertilizer I manufacture was releasing the electrons out of clay soil into a plant. And as Lindy just pointed out, most of those blue zones have had volcanic ash spread on them. Volcanic ash is full of electrons. That food has got a lot of electrons, or as a general term, antioxidants. Antioxidants means anti-oxidation. What stops oxidation is an electron. Doggone if we aren't so lucky. Those areas have had a lot of electrons. People that eat the food growing in that area are getting a lot of antioxidants. Then as my reading continued, I went into reading a lot about what's detrimental, and that is sugar. It is the most deceiving thing we eat. I love it. I like to go down and get a donut or stop out here and get some nice good rolls and whatever with got sugar in. Sugar is so deceiving. Listen, folks, every one of us like it. But 2 hours after you eat sugar, your pancreas puts out a lot of insulin to drive that sugar back down. And what do you get? You get irritable, anxiety, depression. If you want to evaluate yourself, every day, think about what you ate yesterday and how you feel. When you eat a pumpkin pie, and I looked up an ingredient list on pumpkin pie, the first ingredient was put in a half a cup to 3/4 of a cup of sugar. It's full of sugar, pies, cakes. My neighborhood is full of a lot of wonderful people. They bring me over these desserts. I eat some of them sometimes, but I hate to tell them I throw most of them out. It is so detrimental to you. If you just remember what you ate yesterday and how you feel today, you will begin to see a constant, absolute, everyday downer where you have to take a nap in the afternoon because that sugar goes down. Getting her, we are so lucky in Sun City Anthem that she put together a group that focuses on the full spectrum. You need the exercise. Those people all walk up hills because that burns off the sugar. That's why you go exercise. I go show up here every morning. I get up at 4 o'clock in the morning. An old farmer, can't break that habit. I go to exercise at 6. That's fabulous because that burns any excess sugar off. Get rid of it. And then try to eat foods. Now, I cheat a little bit because I buy supplements that are very high in electrons. So you want to do that, you can do that. I'll tell you about that later if you're interested. But that's how I approach that. Third, I ran into a lady who runs a garden program here in Nevada. There is no soil in Nevada that'll grow crops. So they build a plot in your backyard, bring in soil from California, and let you grow your crops. So you can grow fresh crops. I made a commitment at the present time, I will give you the fertilizer free. It is very inexpensive to make when you know how to do it because I buy the raw ingredients. And so I'll give it to you free. But you can grow crops that are fabulous. And that way you'll have fresh lettuce. I went down to the University of Arizona. I got a surprise. I went down there. I said, let me show you how you can make great food. I'll put a plot out. So they're over in Tucson, and the professor I talked to, PhD, big shot, he said, well, go over to our farm at Loma, Arizona. Put out a plot on lettuce. I show up there. I got a motorhome. I'm a lucky guy. I show up there in the motorhome. The guy said, yeah, we'll put that plot out. By the way, it's $5,000 a day we plant and $5,000 when we harvest. My wife said, one head, that's all we're ever going to do. So we got the lettuce. I took it around the neighbors. You put treated, untreated lettuce in the refrigerator side by side. The treated lettuce with electrons lasted 5 weeks. The untreated was rotten in 3 weeks. Stops oxidation. It's that simple. It does the same in your body as it does in that lettuce or in those onions that I grew out here at the garden farms. We are so fortunate to have that information available, and she and I are working to help make everybody in Sun City. You won't have those diseases anymore. You won't have cancer. When you study a little bit of that, you find that cancer comes from free radicals, inflammation. That is totally stopped when you take in consuming foods or supplements that have electrons. You will be far healthier. I can't believe it. 86. How wonderful I feel. I feel as good now as I ever felt in my life.
You look awesome.
Well, I do feel good. And it is so natural. And that's why she and I are committed. There's no patent. There's no way to control this. It is available to everyone. It's just we're going to share that information with all of you because I want to see Sun City Anthem become a real beacon of health in the country. And we can do that. We've got leadership by Lindy and background information. All of you can just, it's already in your home, in your computer. Put in electrons in food or electrons in people. You will be stunned with the dozens of articles that come up. So the basic line is, reason I wanted to add to her conversation, stop eating anything with sugar. And that includes carbohydrates, grains. I'm an old farmer. We produce a lot of corn and soybeans and wheat. But that comes with starch. In the body, what happens when you eat that bread? That turns to sugar. And you've got to get rid of it. The pancreas is trying to by lowering it, and you have depression and anxiety set in. You won't have that. You won't believe how much better you feel. As she said, garden foods, the fresher it is out of the soil, the healthier it is for you. Thanks for your time, Lindy.
Thank you so much, Jim. So amazing. Yes, Jim and I are definitely on a mission here at Sun City Anthem. I'm so glad to have met him. I think it's Q&A time, Donna. So that concludes my part of the presentation, but we're, of course, happy to answer any questions that you all may have.
I have a question over here.
There's been a lot of criticism in the medical community about these blue zone studies because they are observational studies. In other words, they don't in any way prove causation. For example, some of these communities that are mentioned are very genetically similar, that people haven't migrated for many years, so that some of the longevity could be due to their genetics. There are uncontrolled environmental factors, such as perhaps there's less air pollution that's just one example, in some of these communities, and that may have nothing to do with them walking up hills or not. Some people might have incredible longevity if they didn't happen to live in a war zone, but we don't know these things. So the problem is that even though all of this sounds wonderful, and of course we should probably all be doing it, like not eating sugar and walking up hills and everything, there's really no medical proof behind any of this as contributing to longevity. That's my question. How do you respond to that?
I respond to it by, this is a study that was done that shows us how people live in these regions and why they live longer. So if there's no it doesn't really matter, in my opinion, that there's no medical study. They're doing things that are very simple and common sense in their communities to live longer. You can't really go wrong with implementing as many of those things as you can. We're not taking drugs, we're not, eating things we're not supposed to. These are all whole food, plant-based. You can't really go wrong, in my opinion.
Hi, the FDA and the CDC have been cutting back on regulations that are going to affect our food source and our environment. Are you going to be discussing how we can combat these regulations being deregulated that are going to affect us from a health standpoint?
With our health club, is that what you're referring to? Yeah. That's a possibility. We have definitely got a whole list of health topics. I'm sure that we will get to that as well, because that is definitely a common issue right now.
Hold it close. Hi, I have two sons who are doctors. One is a food cop, and he agrees 100% with Lindy. He talks about Loma Linda. Loma Linda has a lot of pollution, and the people are living a long time. So my son encourages his pilots to eat the way Lindy encourages people to eat, and it changes their life. So, bravo, Lindy. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Colleen. I appreciate that. And, you know, there's a lot of studies out there that show that we can reverse disease if you put enough antioxidants and good food into your body. It's out there. Like Jim said, you can Google it.
Hi, Lindy. Thank you for starting this club. It's great. We're very excited to be part of this. Where do supplements fit in? I log my food every day. I'm very careful. I stay away from sugared items, but I do know that carby starches turn into sugar. I get that. But no matter how hard I try, I never seem to get that balance of 45% good carbs every day, which is what they say if you're trying to not be pre-diabetic and diabetic and so on, and 25% of protein. I can never pull that off. So I use supplements, but I want to know, how do we find that balance?
Well, I can tell you what I do, and I know Jim probably has something to say on this too, to answer that question for you. But personally, I really don't take any supplements. I try to buy organic food. I eat lots and lots of vegetables, fruits constantly, and I'm getting a lot of nutrients there. So I look at my diet as a nutrient-dense diet, tons of antioxidants. So a supplement that I may take, because I don't eat meat, would be B12, is the one thing we can't get from, that we only get from animal protein. But personally, I honestly don't, I feel fine. I go by the way I feel. And no. I eat a lot.
Well, God bless you, and I love to eat too, but I'm trying to do this on 1,400 calories a day. But I say the 45 grams of good carbs, and that is so difficult, because things that have good carbs usually have protein too, so I want to eat it for the protein. But then I end up sometimes over 130 carbs a day.
It's very confusing. Now, come tomorrow, because our member meeting tomorrow at the Health and Wellness, we can't make it. We're going to talk a lot about protein and whole food and the benefits of that. So we're going to talk about that a little bit more there. But it is a struggle. It's. But Jim, did you want to respond to that as well regarding the supplements?
I want to add some background to this. We all went to health class in school. One of the things they didn't make real plain to us, when you grow, a baby comes up, it grows, it has new cells, it's growing all the time. It turns out our entire life, every cell in our body is new every 10 years. Your cells die and are renewed every 10 years. So nutrition becomes vital. But I have got people to try a supplement, and they take it for 2 days, and they say, oh, I didn't feel anything. It didn't do anything. Well, it's going to be, I started back in the 1980s. You've got to start early, and it takes a long time. Just because the way our body functions. The nutrition builds and builds and builds. But those cells we had when we were 50 years old are long since gone. And those are new cells in our body. Every 10 years, every cell is renewed, whether it be bone or skin or whatever. So you got to keep a different perspective on how nutrition works in our body. We have got to select good nutrition, which I'm impressed with how many of you guys already know all this information I'm talking about, like sugar is so bad for you. But you already know most of this. And you've got to remember to tell people it takes a long time. It's not going to happen overnight. And if we want to live well past 100, and I fully expect to live another 50 years, I don't have any doubt of that. But I know enough about reading on nutrition and exercising. Like, I am so thrilled that Lindy put together a package that includes the exercise and nutrition. It's a balance, like a teeter-totter, and you can't go all one end or the other. You got to keep a balance. We are doing the right thing here at Sun City Anthem. I am so impressed how all of us have finally understood, or at least have an inkling of what it takes to become very healthy.
Thank you.
Looks like there are no more questions. Wow, that's great. Whoops, changed my mind.
A number of years ago, there was a special, I think it's on Netflix, and it's called Live to 100, Secrets of the Blue Zones. And this is basically what Lindy is talking about. If you want to watch that, I can't remember how many episodes it is. My personal feeling is I don't necessarily have to have a gold standard blue, whatever they call them, gold standard study to show me that what I eat makes a difference in my life. And I can tell that, so it's just another perspective to take a look at. You know, we hope we walk out of here not having a bag full of prescriptions. Mm-hmm. And I think eating this way, you're going to find that that's what's going to happen. It's going to help.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you, Lindy. And don't forget, Saturday is the club fair, so you can go and sign up with Lindy's Club and renew
Yes,
with
we will be
Lifelong
there.
Learning.
Yep.
And we'll see you a week from tomorrow for our next presentation.
Thank you,
all.
everyone.
Thanks, Lindy.